My name's Jessica Morgan, I'm 31 years old, and I never thought a friendship could die in a comment section. I woke up to over 200 notifications that morning, tags, messages, and a flood of unread DMs. My phone felt like it was burning in my hand. At first, I thought maybe one of my photos had finally gone viral. I'm a freelance photographer. Nothing fancy, mostly small brand work, portraits, the kind of art that barely survives in a world built for short attention spans. But when I opened my feed, my stomach dropped. There she was, Lila, my best friend of almost a decade, sitting in front of her phone, eyes red, voice trembling. The caption read, "My story, the friend who broke me." The video autoplayed before I could stop it. She talked about being used, lied to, and emotionally manipulated. Her voice cracked just enough to sound believable. Every sentence felt like a knife dressed in tears. People flooded the comments with sympathy, telling her she was so brave, that toxic friends are the worst. My name wasn't mentioned, but it didn't have to be. Everyone knew who she meant. The messages I got proved it. By the time I finished watching, I could barely breathe. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped my phone on the floor. But here's the thing no one saw. The part she made disappear. Because Lila didn't just tell a story, she rewrote it. She left out the screenshots, the voice notes, the things she begged me to delete. She turned herself into the victim, and me into her villain. But the internet never forgets, and I had everything she tried to erase. And if she wanted her story to go viral, I was ready to post mine. Before all of this, and before my name became a trending topic I never asked for, my life was small, quiet, and almost ordinary. I grew up in a suburb outside Portland, the kind of place where neighbors still wave from their driveways, but gossip spreads faster than wildfire. My parents still live there. My mom, Susan, teaches third grade, and my dad, Robert, retired early after a back injury. They're good people, kind and simple, but they've never really understood the world I live in now. To them, social media just means wasting time on a phone. Then there's my little sister. Chloe, 27, brutally honest, the kind of person who says what everyone else is thinking but won't dare to say. Chloe always saw through people, especially Lila. Lila and I met in college. We were both studying design, both broke, both hungry to create something that mattered. It started with late-night brainstorming sessions, cheap coffee, and dreams bigger than our dorm rooms. She had this energy, wild, magnetic, and she made even my quiet world feel electric. We built each other's portfolios, took each other's photos, and promised we'd make it together. She was more than a friend. She was like the sister I chose. But Chloe never trusted her. I still remember the first time she met Lila. We were sitting in our parents' kitchen, and after Lila left, Chloe leaned against the counter and said, "She smiles with her mouth, Jess, not her eyes." I laughed it off back then, told her she was being dramatic. But years later, those words would come back to me, echoing in my head while I watched Lila cry on camera, pretending to survive the story she'd created to destroy me. Looking back, I can't even pinpoint when the shift began. Maybe it was subtle, the way Lila started posting photos that looked exactly like mine. Same lighting, same captions, same words twisted just enough to sound like her own. At first, I told myself it was harmless. Inspiration. Friends borrow from each other all the time, right? But then people began tagging her in my photos. Clients started asking if I could make their shoots look more like Lila's style. The truth? My heart sank every time I opened her page. It was like watching my reflection walk away and wave back, pretending not to know me. Things got worse when I started dating again after my breakup. I'd posted something small, just a sunset with the caption, "New beginnings feel strange." A few days later, Lila posted a teary-eyed selfie with a long caption about fake friends who move on too fast. I texted her that night, trying to clear the air. She replied with a wall of crying emojis and said I was reading too much into things. Then, as always, she flipped it, made me feel guilty for even asking. But the moment I'll never forget came a few weeks later. I'd been featured by a small online magazine, nothing huge, just a creative spotlight piece. I sent her the link before I even posted it. She replied with a simple, "Oh, cool, must be nice to have connections." That night, she uploaded a story, a blurry photo of her laptop with the caption, "Some people will use your ideas. Your time and your heart, until there's nothing left of you. No names, no tags. But the message was loud enough for everyone who followed us both. By morning, my inbox was full of passive-aggressive questions from mutual friends. What happened between you and Lila? Did something go down? I tried ignoring it. Tried being the bigger person. But then she posted the video, the one that changed everything. It was titled, "My Story, the Friend Who Broke Me." The moment it went live, my name started trending locally. My clients dropped me. My phone didn't stop buzzing. And I realized something that made my stomach twist. She didn't just want sympathy. She wanted my silence. For 2 days, I said nothing. I just watched it happen. My name dragged through hashtags, my face turned into reaction memes, my silence twisted into guilt. Every time I opened my phone, there she was. Lila, trembling voice, glossy eyes, performing heartbreak like it was art. She even started selling self-love merch a week after the video. People called her inspiring, they called me toxic. I'd never felt so helpless in my life. My mom begged me to ignore it. My dad said, "It'll pass, Jess. Don't feed the fire." But it wasn't passing. It was spreading. Even my clients, the ones I'd worked with for years, started backing out quietly. One email read, "We're postponing the campaign. Hope you understand." I understood too well. It was Chloe who finally snapped me out of it. She showed up at my apartment, took one look at me, red eyes, phone in hand, and said, "Enough." She went public. You can too. I told her I didn't want to be petty, didn't want revenge. Chloe said softly, "Then tell the truth, but tell it loud." That night, I opened my laptop and started pulling everything from my backups. Screenshots, DMs, deleted messages. There it was, months of manipulation, fake breakdowns planned for engagement, and messages where Lila literally wrote, "Drama drives the algorithm. Don't be boring." My heart raced as I drafted my post. My hands shook so badly I could barely type. But when I hit publish, it felt like exhaling for the first time in weeks. Caption: Since my name is being used for clout, here's what you didn't see. I attached screenshots, her asking me to fake fights for attention, her begging me not to post certain things because they'll ruin my narrative. For hours, nothing. Then, boom. Notifications, comments, shares. People started piecing it together. The timelines, the inconsistencies in her videos, the messages she'd deleted. But before I could even breathe, Lila went live again, crying harder this time, calling my proof edited, saying I was gaslighting her publicly. And somehow, people still believed her, because online, tears always look truer than text. That's when I realized, if I wanted to end this, I couldn't just defend myself. I had to expose her, completely. The internet turned into a battlefield overnight. Half the comments said, "Jessica deserves an apology." The other half said, "Nice fake receipts." It didn't matter what was real anymore. People just wanted a show. Influencer gossip pages picked it up within hours. "Two best friends destroy each other for clout," one headline read. It made me sick. They didn't know either of us, but suddenly everyone had an opinion. I started getting tagged in videos dissecting my tone, my expressions, my captions from months ago. Every piece of my life became evidence. I couldn't sleep. My chest ached every time my phone buzzed. I deleted the apps for a day just to breathe, but curiosity always pulled me back. And every time I looked, there she was, Lila, calm now, perfectly made up, talking about forgiveness and healing like she hadn't just tried to end my career. The comments poured in. "You're so strong. Don't let toxic people ruin your peace." And under it all, quiet but visible, she means Jessica. Meanwhile, Chloe had been doing what I couldn't, digging. She found an old tweet thread from months back. Lila had posted pictures of me, my hands, my workspace, claiming they were hers. And worse, she'd used an old photo I'd taken of her crying after her breakup and repurposed it weeks later for her abuse story. That was the moment the air left my lungs. I wasn't dealing with a hurt friend. I was dealing with someone who'd built a brand out of pretending to be broken. I showed Chloe everything. Every screenshot, every message. She looked at me and said, "Jess, this isn't just drama anymore. This is deception." I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. But peace doesn't come when someone keeps lying louder than you can breathe. Then one night, as I was going through old voice notes to clear space on my phone, I found one I didn't remember saving, a conversation between Lila and a mutual friend. Her voice, laughing, saying our crying videos always go viral. People eat it up. I froze. That was it. The one thing that could prove everything. But posting it would destroy her completely. And as much as I hated what she'd done, a small part of me still remembered who she used to be. The friend who held my camera for hours. The girl who once said, "Let's never fake anything." My finger hovered over upload. I must have listened to that voice note 20 times before I believed it was real. Lila's laugh, sharp, breathy, familiar, echoing through my tiny apartment like a ghost I couldn't silence. She was talking to someone I barely knew, giggling between words. You just have to look sad, you know? A few tears, good lighting, and the story writes itself. It wasn't even regret in her tone. It was pride. For hours I sat there replaying it on loop. I wanted to cry, scream, throw my phone across the room, but mostly I just felt empty. Because there it was. The proof. The truth. The sound of the friend I'd defended turning my pain into her content. I didn't post it that night. I couldn't. My chest felt too heavy, my throat too tight. But the next morning, when I saw another one of her posts, smiling with a quote about cutting out toxic people, something in me snapped. I uploaded the recording. Just 30 seconds. No captions, no hashtags, no theatrics, just her voice and one simple line typed underneath. You wanted your truth to be heard. Here it is, in your own words. I pressed post, and then I turned off my phone. For the first time in weeks, I didn't check the notifications. I went for a walk, past the park where we used to shoot, past the coffee shop where we planned our dreams. Every corner hurt. Every place still whispered her name. When I finally turned my phone back on, it was chaos. Millions of views. Thousands of comments. Lila's fans were stunned, some angry, some heartbroken. Her name started trending, but this time, not as a hero. Screenshots spread faster than she could delete. People dug through her old posts, her timelines, her inconsistencies. The internet that once crowned her the victim was now picking apart her lies. She tried to go live again, but the chat exploded with people playing the audio, calling her a fraud. Her voice trembled, the same way it had in that first video, only now the sympathy was gone. A few hours later, she messaged me, first furious, "You ruined me," then desperate, "Please delete it. You don't understand what this will do to me." Then silent. I stared at the messages shaking. I wanted to reply. I wanted to say, "You ruined yourself." But I didn't. I just closed the chat and sat there, tears streaming down my face. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like grief, heavy, quiet, final. Because the truth doesn't heal the way people think it does. It doesn't fix what's broken. It just stops you from bleeding. And that night, for the first time since she posted her lie, I finally slept. Not peacefully, but honestly. The morning after I posted the recording, my world felt eerily quiet. No buzzing notifications, no calls. Just silence, the kind that feels heavy enough to press on your chest. When I finally opened my phone, I saw what silence meant. Lila's accounts were gone. Every platform, every video, every post vanished overnight. My DMs were flooded, people apologizing, strangers sending messages like, "I can't believe I believed her," and "You didn't deserve that." Some were kind. Some were cruel in reverse, turning their anger toward her like a weapon. And that's when I realized the internet never really switches sides. It just picks new targets. I didn't reply to most of them. I didn't feel vindicated or proud. Just tired. Tired of proving myself. Tired of defending what I already knew was true. My mom called that afternoon, her voice soft with relief. "I'm proud of you," she said. Not for posting, but for surviving. It made me cry harder than anything else. Even some brands that had dropped me reached out again, wanting to reconnect. I accepted a few, ignored the rest. Because by then, I understood what this whole thing had cost me, and not just work or reputation, but trust. Trust in people. Trust in friendship. Lila and I hadn't just shared memories. We'd shared dreams, passwords, secrets, the kind of things you can't take back once they've been weaponized. Chloe kept reminding me, "You didn't ruin her, Jess. She ruined herself trying to ruin you." Maybe that was true, but it didn't feel like winning. I scrolled through her old photos one last time before her pages disappeared completely. Her smile still looked the same, practiced, pretty believable, and for a second, I remembered us laughing in our dorm room, planning shoots, promising to always be honest with each other. It almost hurt more remembering the good parts. But maybe that's what truth really is. It doesn't erase the pain. It just puts light on it. Weeks passed. The noise faded. I went back to my camera, my clients, my quiet. And one evening, I got an email from a woman I'd never met. It said, "Thank you for showing that truth doesn't need a filter." I read it twice, then 3 times. And for the first time in months, I smiled. Not for the camera, not for an audience, just for myself. It's strange how something that once consumed your whole world can eventually shrink into a story you tell yourself at night. Sometimes, I still think about Lila. About how easily she turned friendship into performance. About how fast people chose sides without ever asking for the truth. But mostly, I think about what it taught me, not about her, but about myself. I used to believe staying silent made you the bigger person, that keeping peace meant keeping dignity. But silence doesn't protect you, it buries you. And when someone builds their fame on your pain, staying quiet only lets them finish their story with your name on it. I don't hate Lila. I don't think I ever truly could. Hate requires space in your heart, and she's already taken enough of mine. But I've learned to stop mourning the friendship I thought we had. Because maybe it wasn't friendship. Maybe it was a lesson dressed as one. The internet has moved on. There's a new scandal every week, new faces to follow, new lies to believe. But I've learned to move differently too. I don't overshare now. I don't post everything. I take photos again, quiet ones, raw ones, the kind that don't need approval to feel real. And sometimes, when I scroll back to that old photo of us, 2 girls smiling under golden light, believing the world was waiting for us, I don't feel anger anymore, just a kind of bittersweet peace. Because the truth doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just breathes. And surviving it, telling it, is enough. I still sign my photos with my name. Still trust the art, if not always the people. And every time I lift my camera, I whisper the same thing I've come to believe with all my heart. The truth may take time, but it never needs an audience to be real.